Hi guys, welcome back to the shop. Hey, today I'm working on the F7 Kawasaki. Actually, this is plating day, but I've got a couple of repairs I need to do also. Let me get into that before I get into the plating because it's got to be done first. Actually, I've got plating going on, but I'm going to show you the repair that I need to do right now, and we'll get into that. Okay, the rear foot pegs, I'm going to try some. I think I can get the Yamaha foot pegs and use the rubbers off of them. If I can't, then I'll have to do something else. But right now I'm repairing the factory ones. And the first thing I needed to do was I needed to weld up here because it had pushed it back, and it was back to about where you can see the weld. So it was not staying put. I guess it would go this way. So it's supposed to go up against the bracket there, and then when you fold them up, it's like this. But the next issue I've got is the holes are elongated. See, here's the pin. You can see how big that is. So we've got to go over and weld these holes up and then re-drill them so that we can get the play out of them. So that's the next thing that we need to do. Okay, I'm out here, got my MIG welder, and I'm just going to go around the edge of this and try to fill it up, but not completely close the hole. That way I can kind of keep my original hole and just kind of re-drill it. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm looking for. This has zinc on it, that's why I'm doing it outside, and or galvanized, something like that. If you've got anything with that on it, you need to make sure that you can see that yellow. That's what that's from. Okay, yeah, be sure to do that in a well ventilated area. And I've got the one other one to do, and I'll go ahead and do that one. Okay, got the plater set up here, and I've got some stuff in there right now. Here's the front foot pegs. We're redoing those. That's a brake spring, and that's some more of the front foot peg, I think. Got all that stuff working, and I've got all this stuff yet to do. And I just want to point out that once you clean this has all been bead blasted, and the things that I want shiny, you've got to make them shiny. And I take this stuff over to the wire wheel and make those shiny. Just buff them a little bit. The end of the front bolt hole, or the front hub bolt, and the top of some of the heads. You're not going to see this, so it's just going to get plated, and this will be nicer looking. And it's I kind of wait to do all this little stuff at the end, get my bigger things done. But before I finish the day, I've got to do two long items that I'll put in a box with a plastic bag and set my solution and everything up in there. And that's how I do these. You just get a long box, put a plastic bag in it so it'll hold your solution, and transfer all your anodes and everything to that. It works just fine. I have a little trouble with my heater in something like that, so I just heat up the water good before I put it in there, and that kind of stuff I can knock out in about 30 minutes. So hopefully if I heat it a little hotter than I need, it will maintain enough heat to do the job for me. And like I say, this little stuff, everything's getting cadmium plated. Some of it's just shinier than the others. Like these are the head bolts. I want the head bolts kind of shiny, and the sprocket bolts, and of course the seal cover for the front wheel. And here's a couple brake parts here that you know, the expanders. Those, no big deal on those. Those just get the regular zinc coating. So that's what I'm doing now. I only had room for the through the first bath for one bolt, and that was the rear bolt. And I did the same thing. I kind of shined that part up. It's not real critical, but that's what we're up to. And as soon as I get a few more parts done, I'll bring you back and give you another look at it. Okay, I'm going to pull these out. I've got clean distilled water in here. And oops, the wire broke on it. So I'm going to have to fish that one out. But you just want to rinse them with water. And then I bring them over and I dry them off. You know, until you get them dry, if you touch something that is greasy or dirty or something like that, it can cause you an issue with the finish. These I'm not too worried about because, of course, this is all going to be covered up with the foot peg, the rubber, but you still want them as nice as you can. So that's kind of the process I go through. And I'll show you what I do when I get ready to put pieces in there. It's kind of the same thing in a way. I'm just going to pull a lot of this stuff out, rinse it, take it over and dry it all in one swoop. That didn't plate. That spring didn't. Something wrong with I didn't have a good electrical connection or something, so I'll have to redo that one. This one did fine. And I've got to fish that other one out. Okay, I'm going to redo the spring. I think maybe I had a steel wire hooked up to it instead of a copper wire. They get cadmium plated along with the part that you're doing, so sometimes if you got the wrong one in there, it can happen. But anyway, we didn't have enough current or something. So what I do first is I take it over here to my degreaser, and I'll just let it set in the degreaser. I've got that going for about 2 or 3 minutes in there, and that will degrease everything. Then we'll move it over and rinse it, and then go into the plating mix. Okay, I'm going to start bringing them over now. I've got 2 springs on this one, and I'm taking it out of the degreasing solution, and I'm just going to hang that one over that way I can get both of them with one wire. And I did cut some new wires. Some of those they're getting really brittle. This is a foot peg part there, so it'll go on there. And of course these are the brake stays, or the wheel adjusters. That's what they are. And I'm going to go ahead and turn the power on now, since I've got some stuff on there. So it's just, you just keep doing the same thing to all of them. So we've got another rack full here really of everything, and that will be running at about, probably 40-45 minutes. And we want to try to keep the heat above 100, and I'm just barely there. So I'm going to turn the heater back on. It's got a switch on it, but it is so finicky that I can't trust it. So I just watch it, because it'll come back up. You need to keep this actually closer to 110, and we're about just 101 or 102 right there now. And I've got my power sitting at about almost 3 amps, and that seems to work good with my power supply. Other power supplies may differ. And we've got quite a few more large parts, and then we'll start on all these little pieces here, which is going to take a lot of time. But a lot of those I can put maybe 5 or 6 different ones on one wire. You just have to be creative how you put them on, and that will speed things up quite a bit. But at this point, we just need to try to get most of our large items done. So we'll continue on that. Okay, I've just set this up where I can use a smaller drill bit and line everything up, so that's pretty straight. And what I'm going to do is my pins here measure in at 0.232, and the closest I can get to that is 233. So that's what I'm going to do. That's a 15/64. So we'll try that one. And we'll see if we can get that to drill through. And I've just got this in the vise here. Just take it easy because that weld's kind of hard. Should use oil, but I really hate to do it since I'm going to plate this pretty quick. Okay. So that looks like it'll take our pin okay. It's pretty tight, but it'll do it. So now I'll go ahead and I'll grind down the weld. We'll just carefully grind this down to where it's flush. Okay, just went ahead and ground them down and chamfered the holes a little bit and ran them back through the bead blaster. Oops, you can't see a thing right there. So hopefully that will be good. And I'm going to try to get a hold of, you can buy a set of rear pegs for a Yamaha pretty cheap, and they look like they've got the same rubbers on them, similar anyway. And the Kawasaki uses, well, so does Yamaha, they use the rubber as a spring. So when you raise this up, it'll stay up. And all you need is the 2 little special washers and the rubber, and you can trim that to fit if you need. So we'll see how that works when I get some. Okay guys, we're down to the 2 long pieces, and this is a lot longer box than I need, but this is what I usually set up for it. I've just ensured that I've got my solution up to temperature. I'm at about 114 degrees, needs to be around 110. So I've got to do this pretty quick because I won't be able to heat it up again. So we'll disconnect the heater. You just have to kind of make do in some instances. I'm going to try to pour this in here without making a big mess. Don't need the whole thing. So we've got to go ahead and get our power hooked up, and the also the aquarium pump. You've got to agitate this. So we've got it going. All right. It doesn't need a lot of agitation, but it does need some. Okay, the next thing we need to do is get our piece in here that we're going to hang it from. I've got to get my power, and there again we go the positive to the anode, which I've got right here, and it's connected to all the other anodes, and then the bar gets the negative, and that's going to want to walk around on me or something there. Okay, and then I'm going to use my stick here to support the other side of my part. I've already got these cleaned. So we get our copper wires here. On this one I've got a neat little hole right here in the end for the cotter pin that I'm going to use to support it. So we'll go ahead and get it down here in the solution. Okay, and I can support the other end just to the wood stick. Okay, let me finish getting this set up. Okay, got my power on, looking about where it ought to be, and the agitation's on. The only reason I have to do this is because of the size of the pieces. So you've got to have a big enough place in order to get it completely into the solution. So that's what we've got. Let me let this run for a little bit. You got to make sure that this doesn't touch that. And once we get some plating on it, then I'll bring you back. Okay guys, let's see what we got here. Turn our power off. Get around there and pull the plug on the agitation. Okay, get our Wires off. Looks like we did pretty good, maybe. Okay, let me get over here and we'll rinse them off. A little distilled water. Yeah, so there's our brake rod, and this is the footrest rod, I believe. The footrest bolt to that. I think it's also an engine support. Okay, guys, here's everything for the Kawasaki F7, I think. You know, usually I end up having to do it again because I find something else, but this is pretty much it. These are for the cylinder head, and this is the plug for the spare plug, and everything else, these are all for these bolts. Everything else is just the cadmium, and it looks pretty good. The shinier you get this stuff, the better it turns out when you plate it. I didn't spend a lot of time on a lot of it, so it's just pretty much how it comes out. I usually take care of the top of the heads and the sides, and then don't do the threaded area as far as wire brushing them. So now I've got to get the plates. These are all clean, and we just need to assemble them. Then we'll be pretty much done with the wheels. I did get the front wheel done. I'll show you that. Okay, so that's the wheel all laced up. I'm waiting on a tire. Starting to have problems getting tires the right size. And you know, for the longest time I've been using the Trials tires, which are the let's see, they are the Golden Boy Shinko 241s. That's the Trials tires. Really starting to have trouble getting some of the sizes. Seems like the 350s for the back are still available, but the 19s, the only one that I can get for the front is either get another one of these and a 350 or a 275. You can no longer get the 300s. That's what I've always used. This is a 300 on the Yamaha. Put the last 300 I had on this man's bike. I usually run a 300 on the front and a 350 on the back because 3 1/4s have not been available for a long time. But I have found another supplier. The tread is similar, but it's not quite the same. Duro something. I just ordered 2 in a 319, and I see that they actually also have a 3 1/4 19. So I may pick one of those up in the future. But right now I'm happy with the 350s or 300s if I can get them. Anyhow, this is all done, and it really spun up nice. And we'll go ahead and get the backing plates built, and all this will be ready except for the tire on this one. And then it's up to me to get the frame sandblasted and painted. All right, see if we can get a little shot on these things. Again, I use the high heat silver, I think it is. Heat resistant silver. And it's kind of expensive, but it's the one that seems to be a closer match to me. We'll wait and put another coat on. That's what it is. And then it's the heat resistant silver 77 1/6. And after I get a couple of good coats on that, then I come back over with the semi-gloss clear, and it actually turns it a little more gray when you put the clear on. So let this set for a little bit, and then we'll show you the end result. I'm going to give her a shot of the clear. I think you'll be able to see it, the transformation to kind of a gray. I don't like this kind of stuff real shiny. That's why I use a semi-gloss. All right. Let her dry up. Okay, let's see if we can get these put together now. We've replated the springs and cleaned up the old brake shoes. They don't seem to be worn too bad, so we're going to put them back in. So that's just putting these back together like this. This is the easiest way to put them on. And one thing about these, when I did plate these, you've got to remove the plating from where the bearing surface is. Otherwise it'll be too tight. And these are just right. And we'll just go ahead and put a little bit of grease in there. Sparingly, but it needs some. Just like that. And we're going to put a little bit on the pivot. And on here, this is what opens it up. And usually the best way to do that is just to kind of get one of them on, and then just peel the other one over. Just like that. And then we can go ahead and we've got, I've just got my O-ring set here, and we're going to put down put a little grease on that too, especially on the inside, so it'll pivot on that actuator pin. And just find one that fits. These were, one of them was still there, but the other one was pretty well gone. And then you've just got to kind of figure out where you think it's going to be. I'm sure it'll come off again. I'm going to have to spread that just a little bit. And you just have to spread it apart a little bit here if you need to get it down there. And looks like about it. And of course we got some new hardware. The only things that I plate are generally the oddball things that you either just can't get anymore, or they're just too expensive to buy. And really that's one and the same with these Kawasaki's. There's just not much of it that's available other than just standard hardware. I'm going to leave that kind of loose until we see where it needs to go. And now I need to rebuild the speedometer part. I guess I got the cart before the horse just a little bit. I've got to get my new seal in, and these things are not available from Kawasaki. You just got to get them from a sealed distributor. It was pretty easy to find, actually. You just go by the numbers on them. What was it here? 4862.7, and should just tap in there pretty easy. The other one was pretty gone. The spring was completely rusted out. Okay, looks like we're good there. And I've got to get all the pieces to go inside. Now here's the old one. It was all, the lip was pretty well destroyed here, and the spring was completely rusted out on the back side. So just get your numbers off of it. You should be able to find one of those pretty easy if you need to find one. And what we need to do now is try to get our speedometer gear and everything back in there the way it's supposed to be. And it's I had quite a bit of corrosion on this end of it, so I chucked this up in the lathe and took some 400 grit sandpaper and cleaned that up, and I believe that we're going to be good. Yeah, that should be just fine. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is, you don't want a lot, but you want to get some grease up in that hole there. It looks like I'm going to have to use the stick end of it here to kind of get it in there. And we'll also stick some here on the gear itself. And we're going to need some here also, so just go ahead and get you a little on that. And then this end is going to pop down into there. Oops, got a washer. Got a washer on each side of this. I think it's probably wise to just go ahead and get that on now, both of them. Okay, so that's in. And now we'll grease up the adapter here a little bit. This is the piece that the cable hooks onto, and it also goes down into the, over the end here closest to the hole. And there is no, I'm actually going to put a little bit on the outside of this too. It just kind of taps in there. It was kind of difficult to get out, but you just have to be gentle. And I actually tapped it out with a punch by using the washer that's in there to tap against. And here we go with a plastic hammer. Okay, so we're down, and the gear is still loose. Now, the one thing you just don't want to lose is the little set screw that goes right there. And there it is, and I've got to get a screwdriver that'll work on that. Okay, I'm gonna put just a little bit of blue Loctite on that. And it's very small and very fragile, so I'm just going to put a little on the Q-tip here so I don't flood it. Find one end that's got the screwdriver slot on it, and we'll just put a little bit on there. And this may be easier said than done. You know, slotted screws, especially tiny ones, are, oh, they're difficult. Let me fight this thing by myself, guys. Okay, at least I got it started. Now I'm going to go ahead and most of that Loctite came off on my fingers. So if you need to get this out, just kind of remove all the excess there. If you need to get it out afterwards for some reason, it will probably come out okay, but if it doesn't, you just apply a little bit of heat. Of course, you'll have to repaint it, I get that, but at least it's not coming out on you. And trying to find one, because where are you going to find that? Okay. So that piece is in there. Let's see if this one will go in now. And again, we'll lube it up nicely. And on this, before we put it together, get in here and put a little grease on the splines, or not splines, but the gear teeth. Because once you get the other one on there, you're not going to be able to do it. Okay. And this one here, you don't need to, because it's going to come around the other one. All right, so we're all engaged. Let's get rid of the extra. We'll need a little bit on our seal, but we don't want a lot there. But everything's meshed the way it should, and that should be okay. So now, need to get our brakes back on. I got to clean the grease off my hands first before I handle those. Okay. Got that all back on. Everything still free. And don't forget to clean with brake clean your shoes after handling it. Although I washed my hands, I still got a little grease on them. So that will take care of it. But be careful not to touch that with your brake clean, because all your new paint will not be there anymore. So there's the front one. And really, the back one is just like it, except we don't have the speedometer, of course. So we'll just get a little grease in there, a little grease on the pivot, and so on and so forth. So that one's on, and get a little grease on our O-ring again. Kind of wondering if this is supposed to have a washer between the top of the O-ring and the lever. There weren't any there, but that doesn't mean anything. I think Suzuki's do have them. I think before I put this one on, I'm going to check the illustrated parts breakdown and just see what it looks like. Okay, it does call for a washer there, but it's I don't see that it lists the O-ring. So I'm thinking that they're calling the O-ring the washer. And if I look at this, I don't think I would be able to get that on, get a washer on there too. So I believe that it's using the back of the lever as the washer. But if anybody can give me a little insight on that, that'd be great. So we'll just again kind of leave this one a little loose. So there's our two hubs ready to go on. I got to clean this one with brake clean, and this will be done. And we can go ahead and get our sprocket on. I'm going to put a little anti-seize on the sprocket bolts. Doesn't need much, just a little bit. These are, I guess Kawasaki did this on these bolt holes back here. Not sure you can see it or not, but they actually put helicoils in them. I don't know whether Kawasaki did that or whether somebody had a problem and they put helicoils in it. But the fact of the matter is there's helicoils in it, which is good for aluminum like that. And I've got it's not a standard sprocket, but it's the standard amount of teeth. It's a 50 tooth. And we've got I replated these locks. I didn't want to have to mess with them. They're actually in really good shape. I didn't want to have to try to find any. So we'll just go with the old ones here. I'm sure you can find them if you want them. Time I bend them back up to where they were, you won't even probably be able to notice it. And we'll just run those down real quick. And I looked up the torque. We got about 55 Newton meters. All right, sounds good. We'll just bend these over and get them started anyway. And then just grab our channel locks and finish the job. All right. Ready to go. Okay guys, there you have it. We got the brakes and the hubs ready. We've got all our hardware plated that's unique hardware or stuff that's expensive to get. Most of the little hardware, just regular bolts and nuts. I'll just, it's just more cost effective to just replace it It's not that much. You can get most of it at the hardware store, and I keep a bunch of it around here in most cases. But we've got all that stuff done, and what else did we do? Oh, put the sprocket on, but we're just to the point where I need to get the frame taken outside, get it sandblasted, painted, and checked over for any broken welds, and check all the inserts and stuff on that. And I'll try to get that done. And I don't know whether I'll get that one by the weekend or not, but that's kind of our next step. And then we can at least put the wheels on, make it a roller, and go from there. So I think that's it for the day. Thanks for going along on the ride, and we'll see you next video.